tonight. So I really want to thank everyone for your time tonight. I appreciate it for taking time for your families and your life to really join us in a very important meeting. I want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and is going to be available on the project website, our DPR website. So by being in this meeting, you are accepted being recorded. Next slides, please.
Well, I'll introduce us. What? You want to introduce everybody?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Well, like to pause and introduce the team, starting with me since I'm already talking. My name is Ana Claudia. I am your West District Planner for this area in the city. And I'm co-leading this project with my co-workers in DPR and our consulting team Stream. And I'll let our DPR team to be introduced and following the Stream team. Jesus.
Good evening, everyone. Jesus Charantia. I am the Community Engagement Specialist with Denver Parks and Recreation. I will mainly be in the background launching polls and assisting the team as needed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Beard. I am on the project team. I'm going to be the project manager when this project does hit construction documents all the way through the construction implementation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Clark with Stream Landscape Architecture. We're the city's consultant on the project. And I have with me also on my team, Annie Morgan, who's working on the project. She'll be taking notes and helping answer questions if we need any assistance in that. Okay.
I think that's everyone today. So I just want to really quickly update everyone that we are setting up this meeting here, giving you guys opportunity to speak. We're going to pause after our initial presentation, and then we're going to give plenty of opportunity for everyone to provide feedback and to really give us feedback on a few elements of the design. You are able to provide, submit me your questions using the Q&A function of this webinar. And if you just have general thoughts and comments, you can use the chat function. We decided that was really useful tools for us to keep the questions streamlined so we can get to them very quickly. Also, you can upvote the questions. Just press the arrow button and then we'll get to the questions as much as we can today. Thank you again for your time, and we're gonna get started soon with the content of the meeting.
So real quickly, just to add, towards the end, we're going to talk about some of the concepts. We will allow people to actually speak, and if you have any questions that you'd rather verbalize as opposed to giving them in the chat, you can just go ahead and use the little raise your hand button. And additionally, do you want to go through the goals for the meeting real quick? Or you want to do that on the next slide?
The next slide.
There we go.
So everyone can say that we are here in a very anticipated meeting. Our intent of this meeting is really give an update of the project design development and to really continue to receive feedback from the community of the design evolution. The project itself, we had a really strong foundation to begin with. As you all know, we were led, the community-led 2011 Wash Park Master Plan really provide us the foundation of this project here. Once we started the process, we did engage the community with additional community engagement and outreach for us to really continue to guide the park development here and this area today. Once we're able to advance master plan improvements, recommendations, opportunities like this really gives us time to really engage the community again, to really address what what the recommendations is still relevant to the community needs today, and if we engage the community as we're doing here today. So I just want to remind everyone, if you need a refresher of our 2011 Wash Park Master Plan, the intent of this project area around the Boathouse was to support lake-oriented uses, anticipating that this will be an area to provide a significant leisure and opportunities for people to enjoy the lake views, gathering, seating, and of course, also we had the opportunity here to implement some play elements for families as well. Next slides, please. And also I want to take an opportunity here to clarify that the project area highlighted here, it was an important design exercise for us because we really want to take opportunity to study the lake edge and how we could activate that. But because of our project constraints and budget and limited scope physically, we are only improving the project area highlighted here. And I also want to remind everyone some key of the existing conditions here. We have really good views of the park. And if you're familiar with this area, this was the former North Playgrounds. So mainly the existing circulation of this area will remain. And we are really trying to activate what was the location of the play pits over here. One thing also to note that it's not really visible to park users. There is a lot of infrastructure and other studies that we did in relation to understanding how we could implement water here, which I will elaborate in a different slide. I quickly want to go over our project meeting, our first public meeting and the feedback that we received so far. We showed to the community 2 concept design, and then this was really a visual tool that we produced to really get feedback from the community. This concept A, concept B, really came from fruition with the strong foundation that we had for our master plan, our Park 2011 master plan, and also based on our placemaking survey that we launched with the community, that which we received a high number of responses. That survey, we really opened up to a lot of opportunities of the community expressing what they would like to see here. And with that feedback was enough cues for us to give us some starting point on design ideas to present the community and really just have some visual tools so we can continue to get feedback from the community if we were producing a design idea that really represents what the community wanted. And I also wanted to highlight here that based on our second survey that we launched after our public meeting, that concept B was highly favored over concept A, even though we did not ask for the community to rate between concept A and concept B. Based on the specific feedback that we received, we really felt that concept B was very strong within the community feedback that we received.
You want to just touch on the water?
I was going on the next one, but
The next one? Okay, sorry.
Good reminder. So another point on the, if you can go back to the next slide.
Sure.
Also within the concept B, the water feature was very much commented on based on the feedback that we received. But after further analysis and budget constraints, and it's not feasible for us at the moment to implement any water feature in the site. There is some drainage, and I don't want to get too technical, but there is some constraints here implementing water majority of it's budget and the other is just not feasible to implement a sustainable water feature here at the moment. And then we heard very loud and clear that the community really needs to understand how this project came about. So we thought that this information was really important to this community and to everyone seeing today. So if you're joining us for the first time, I just want to give you a little background or what really made us be here today with the design. Is really a balance act of how many things we need to take in consideration before we present you guys a final design. As you can see here, we start somewhere, and with our parks, with a regional park like Wash Park, we do have a master plan to really guide us the development of the park today. So we have that as a foundation. And of course, we go back very specific community outreach and feedback to help us further define what amenities really speak to the community today. And based on that feedback, we felt that we really adjusted and really customized this project here based on the feedback that we received. We went back with multiple points of community outreach. We did 2 surveys. This is our second public meeting. We met with our city council representatives, and we also met with RNOs to really guide us on that community feedback to make sure that we were balancing all these factors that you see here on this screen. Is not really just one-sided design approach. Is really a balanced act here, and then we try to really bring in the community within this multiple step process.
All right.
So I'll pause here for any questions or any comments that you have on the project background. Please use the Q&A feature for us to be able to get to your questions quickly. And if you have just general comments, just use your chat.
I'm just going to, there was a question. Let me get back to, somebody had a question regarding what was included in the budget area, and I thought I'd just clarify really quickly. Hopefully this helps. So the project area that we are studying is the area outlined in both red and orange. And the priority area is the area identified in red, sorry. Hopefully that clarifies that question. So this is one of those where, as Anna Claudia mentioned, we want to make sure that we're considering all of the associations with the boathouse, certainly parking and the shoreline, et cetera. And so really, I think budget determines how much of that portion of the project will be feasible. Hopefully that helps. Are there any other questions? You can use the raise your hand button. You can type something in the chat or the Q&A. There's only 10 or 11 attendees on right now, so I think anybody has anything they want to throw in, we'd be happy to answer. All right, I bet you're all just sitting there going, just show us the concepts. All right, well, as Anna Claudia mentioned, there have been a lot of different influences on how we're getting to the design ideas. We've gotten some fantastic ideas from everybody. There was, as Anna Claudia mentioned, there was a really great participation in surveys online. We also got some fantastic ideas from the community through the steering committee and some community members who volunteered some ideas. That was really great, and we appreciate it. So, as Anna Claudia mentioned, concept B from the original push was preferred. I'm going to show you 2 different variations of concept B, but I first want to point out that the area in red here is going to be consistent in each of the concepts. And so what you're seeing in the area in red is basically concept B with some adaptations that were made based on feedback that we got from the community, from operations, all of the 5 different influences that you mentioned. Oh, thank you. Jesus. Sorry, there we go. Better? Okay, so at any rate, the area inside red will remain consistent between the two concepts, and then the area outside of the red is the area that's been identified for more play features, etc. Based on a lot of the community input that we got, we heard people were really interested in seeing more play opportunities for the younger children, etc. So without further ado, let me go through these a little bit here. So I'm going to just erase that so it's a little easier to see. So to give you an idea of the vision for this plaza area here, there's an image on the upper left that illustrates what that area could look like. There is quite a bit of grade in there, meaning that there's a hill going from top to bottom. So the vision here is to really bring in some more trees to further bolster that natural shade in the area. On the screen, the lighter trees are the existing trees, and these darker, smaller symbols are potentially new proposed trees in that plaza area. The play area in this lower right area here, we're calling this concept a landforms concept. In the landforms concept, you would see that area predominantly be made of artificial turf and some artificial landforms that kids can climb all over. You can integrate slides, you can integrate net features, maybe some balancing or skills features, maybe even tunnels if we have the room and the budget to accommodate that. So the area would be predominantly artificial turf, that green area. And then that brown area, this concept would include some different versions of swings. We heard a lot about variability in the swing so that we could accommodate different people of different ages and abilities. So in this case, we're showing one basket swing, which is that sort of larger platform swing, like there are a couple of up at the diagonal area, as well as some belt swings. And then we've put together some imagery to help you see what this concept would look like. So down here, you can kind of see where you'd be standing. So this would be down next to the boathouse, looking back up the hill to the southwest. You can see what that landform play area would look like, swings in the background, some additional seating, and then that shady plaza area off on the right. Just looking at it from a different direction, kind of at the top of the hill, looking down, you can sort of see a hint of the boathouse in the background, the lake in the background here, just another view. You can see the scale of what that plaza area would look like and how the landforms and maybe an at-grade slide might be integrated. Again, here are those swings. Just one more view to give you a little bit of a frame of reference. These benches are actually existing on that southwest corner edge of the play area. So here's that plaza play area again, lake off to the left. So that's the landforms concept. The second concept is called playhouses. And again, this area in the red polygon is consistent. I won't spend any time on that portion of it, but again, if there are questions on it, when I'm done showing this concept, we can talk about these a little bit. So the playhouse concept is a little bit different take on that play area, that same area, that polygon identified in this one in kind of tan color. Playhouse concept uses the idea that we could integrate some small play structures that reference some of the old architectural and wooden structures that were in the original play area, of course, much smaller scale, designed for the smaller children. And then we would integrate in, and these structures are fabricated, so they meet all of the accommodations and the guidance that we would need. We can integrate a slide. Again, we've got in this condition some swings, basket swing and some different belt swing or a toddler swing to be integrated. And then lastly, a larger climbing boulder similar to the one shown in this lower right image. I did want to touch on just with both of these concepts, we are, and Anna Claudia mentioned this earlier, we're preserving much of the existing infrastructure around each of these concepts, with the exception that we are really focused on providing a high level of mobility and accessibility to all of these features. Certainly the difference between an artificial turf structure, or sorry, an artificial turf area and this wood chip area, they have very different material qualities, but we're really focused on providing a highly accessible experience to everybody. Again, all ages, all abilities. You'll notice that both concepts have quite a bit of seating integrated. And again, we're really trying to bolster the shade as much as we can. So here's a couple of images of what this area might look like. Again, this is looking at it kind of down by the boathouse. You can see the scale of, we're proposing three of these little playhouses here. See the swings in the background, the plaza area to the right. Again, looking from the top of the hill towards the lake in the background. And looking from the west towards the boathouse. You can see the scale of plaza area, the turf area down here, and the play area in the background. So what we're going to ask you to do, and we're going to take a break here and see if there are any questions or comments or thoughts here, but we are going to ask for your opinion. So again, we're going to ask for your opinion on whether you prefer the play area in the Landforms alternative or the play area in the Playhouse's alternative. So these two concepts, everything outside of that, the two concepts are the same, and a reminder. But we want to stop here before we're going to open up as a poll that you can actually participate online. So we'll stop here and see if anybody has any questions. I believe at this point, if you'd like to, we can unmute you. Just raise your hand and we can unmute you and you're able to speak. Sarah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, thank you for sharing these concepts. I really appreciate having play structures that, you know, have a variety of ages in mind with both of these. Curious with you were talking about making sure that these are accessible. Is there a reason that we are focused on having the wood chips as opposed to like a poured in place, even in the, you know, in the Landforms one area? Just kind of noting that a poured in place option does give more accessibility options for kids and people of all ages.
Yeah. Yeah, I can respond to that, and then somebody from Parks may like to tag on, but first and foremost, I think consider this conceptual enough that all of the details haven't been figured out. Often what we will do is in a largely wood chip dominated play area, sometimes we'll actually integrate accessible routes to some of the structures or even all of the structures that are in a more accessible material. You probably, maybe you know this, wood chips are considered an ADA acceptable surface, but they need to be maintained that way. But often we will, again, and there's a great example of it actually up at the diagonal where you'll see different routes going through wood chip areas that provide accessibility. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Kristen or Anna Claudia.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Jesse, for taking the first step to that answer. And that is a great question, Sarah. And I'm also going to address one of the questions that came through on the chat as well. So there are a couple reasons why we are showing the two different examples, the playground mulch, the 5R, and also the artificial turf. The port in place, it does provide a great accessible surface. We have heard from many park users. We also heard that the artificial turf is highly recommended as well. It's really easy to kind of move around, access. And then in regards to how the longevity of the material and how it's being maintained, one of the concerns that we have in DPR is that just due to all of the sunshine we get here in Colorado, the port in place actually falls apart the quickest. So we have a lot of issues with maintenance of the actual material itself. We have found throughout all of the parks in Denver parks and throughout Colorado, we work with different manufacturers and reps. And we've found the greatest opportunities working with artificial turf. And I believe that did answer maybe one of the questions in the chat. But that is one of the primary reasons why we are showing those two different types of materials.
Kristen, similarly, and Liz, we will get to you. I see that your hand is raised. Sarah, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable. We're getting into some other questions that we were able to answer your question, your initial question.
She's muted.
You should be able to unmute yourself, Sarah.
There we go. Sorry. Sorry, user error on the muting. Yeah, I think so. I think I really appreciated the like the depth of the response and how it shows up. I guess I don't entirely understand why we wouldn't explore something that maybe brings in a little bit more of that artificial turf just in the playhouses, but that's maybe just more of a design opinion.
And
That could happen.
Yeah, and so if the community and our operations team, if we all agree that we like artificial turf the most as the surfacing, and we want to explore playhouses, I mean, that's a viable option as well. So, and I mean, obviously the estimated cost for both of these concepts, they both fit in within our budget. So we can get either one, either the playhouses or landforms, but they both fall within our budget.
But yeah, if your comment is, I like the playhouses, but I really like the artificial turf surface, that'd be a really great comment for us to hear.
I know our family likes that. I will say I'm sort of interested in the ADA, but also just we have history with our family of needing less like mulches and stuff just because of immunocompromised reasons. And so we've always kind of sought out opportunities to find playgrounds that have non-wood and mulch surfaces for that reason. And so I know I'm kind of a select interested party in that way, but we've been kind of seeing that with, I was curious about that from an ADA and general accessibility standpoint as well. So appreciate all the answers.
Thank you, Sarah. Liz, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Liz, try clicking the little microphone button that says mute. You might have to, Liz, hover over the little toolbar to see the little microphone that says mute. Just click that.
She dropped off. I wonder if she's having some issues with the computer.
Hopefully she'll come back on here.
Yeah. William, I was going to unmute you just to have your question clarified on whether your question that you put in the chat meant towards this conversation of the artificial turf and the mulch, or specifically of the housing versus the landscaping. Are you comfortable if I unmute you, William? Or I will allow you to unmute yourself, and then if you'd like to clarify that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Great.
My question about the long-term maintainability sort of has to do with if things are less expensive to maintain, they end up looking better over the long run, in my experience. And it seems to me that one of the problems with the wood structure that was there previously was it seemed to require a lot of maintenance. When the maintenance was not done, which is kind of predictable when you get into city budgeting, they ended up falling apart, and ultimately they had to be torn down. And that's one of my concerns with the play structures. It seems to me that the landforms would not require as much maintenance over the long run and may end up being a little bit more serviceable. I don't know.
Well, yeah, these are great points to bring up. Appreciate it, William. I'll take a crack here at explaining a few of these things. Hopefully it gets to the root of your question. First, I want to address the original structure. I want you to remember that the original structure was built decades ago, and that when that structure was built, the technology that we had in wood was more similar to what you could find at Home Depot, and more similar to what you'd find at Home Depot then, not even now. But there have been significant leaps in terms of the types of wood that are now available for these kinds of structures. The diagonal play area, for example, we have selected completely different woods in that case, woods that are able to sustain a lot more weather, a lot more time, because they are denser. And the structures that are suggested in the Playhouse's alternative are similar in that these are not like treated pine or Douglas, Doug fir. These are very dense woods that are able to withstand a lot of weather and abuse. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that we're not talking about the same kind of features, but also just that that structure was built decades ago. And so it actually had quite a life. But you're right, towards the end of its life, it was requiring a lot of maintenance to keep up. And then the only other thing that I was just going to add, in terms of resilient surfacing, artificial turf surfacing also has a life, just like most things. And so in terms of, that sort of cost benefit that I think you're getting at, artificial turf certainly is more costly on the front end than the engineered wood fiber. But artificial turf, we have some flexibility. We can make these really cool landforms. We can do all those kinds of things. But artificial turf does have a life and does need to be repaired or replaced over time, as does the artificial rubber surfaces that Sarah was speaking about earlier. In fact, we found that artificial turf actually tends to be more resilient than the port-in-place rubber surfacing, which Kristen sort of got to. Now the EWF, the engineered wood fibering, yes, it's much less expensive, but it does require more routine maintenance. And so you'll see that being tilled, you'll see new wood chips being brought in, you'll see that kind of maintenance associated with it. So there are some balances, but in the end, those are the considerations. So I'm hoping that helped answer your question.
William, are you okay if we move on to Ms. Liz Wrigley?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Liz, I will, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hopefully it'll work for you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Liz.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with my microphone. Thank you so much for your time today and for incorporating some play aspects for kids in these alternative proposals. The section that's highlighted, so including the larger green section, I guess in both concepts, is it an option to expand into that area? Yes, yeah, wherever the cursor was just over. Just given, I mean, Wash Park is so crowded. I mean, you know, a few swings and 3 of those tiny little houses. I know that in the past, you all have acknowledged how busy the Diagonal Park is currently. I mean, it just, this is not going to adequately accommodate the crowds that are at the park. So is it possible to expand the features, expand the area to really give the kids the area that they need?
Kristen or Claudia, do you want to take that or? I'll go ahead and spell it and Claudia, you can jump in.
Yeah. That's a great question, Liz. And the question is, the diagonal playground was meant to be the main feature, the main signature playground of the park. And as we all know, it's very successful and very popular. The guidance from the master plan for this boathouse related uses over here is to balance with all the needs, all the park user needs, which is in line with launching, gathering, and view of the lake. So we already expanded the play amenities based on the feedback that we received from the community, and you see reflected here. We anticipate that this area will be highly popular, and it is an indicator of success as well. And then we hope that this new amenity in the park will serve multiple park users, as long as the family, they're also highly advocating for more amenities as far as for the little ones. I hope that answered your question. If Kristen, you want to add to that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a follow-up question. I mean, you're referencing a master plan that dates back to 2011, and that was put in place prior to when the old playground was removed. So, and obviously, you know, we have more additional insight now that the Diagonal Playground is so successful, it is so crowded. You know, I guess I'm growing frustrated with the fact that, you know, you're not recognizing the community is asking for a true proper playground in this area, something similar to what was there to truly accommodate the kids. I mean, this is a giant park. There are ample opportunities to lounge and relax and, you know, find seating, whether it's natural or man-made. I don't know what else can be done to convey how important it is that this area be dedicated solely to kids with something that will truly accommodate the crowds.
Yeah, I can definitely understand your frustration, Liz, but we do have a master plan that still guides the park development today. And even though we heard loud and clear from the community and comments like this, like yours, we also have to accommodate to multiple park users. And families with little ones is just one park user that we heard a lot, but we also heard from all the park users that voice all the needs that we are trying to balance here. This area over here was never intended to be a full replacement of a playground. We are following a community-led process here that really is the foundation of the master plan that we are following here, with additional feedback that we received when we re-engaged the community when we kicked off this meeting, this project. So what we're trying to do here is to listen to the community, and then by adjusting and including additional play amenities here, we felt like that we addressed the request of adding additional play elements for families and kids. And also, we also addressing the audience of other park users. I hope that answer your question.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Anna Claudia, I mean, she gave a good overview of how we came to this conclusion. Knowing that Wash Park is a very desired space that people, not only in the community, but it's a regional based park. So we're trying to balance all of the needs and requests and what really would complement the other infrastructure that's around that space, like the boathouse, in the different elements around there. And knowing that obviously Denver has changed a lot through the last 5 years, even more than that. We are taking into consideration other elements, and knowing that the diagonal is very well used, it doesn't preclude us from looking at different areas to extend another playground. But in this location, we are following the master plan, working with Denver Parks and Recreation, maintenance and operations, getting the feedback from the surveys, the public meetings, and trying to really balance it all with the current infrastructure that's in place.
Liz, just want to make sure if there's any follow-up on your end. We did have another question, but unrelated to this, so we wanted to make sure that we wrap up the conversation before we move on to that. Okay. Thank you, Liz. You know, we definitely understand the desire for that type of playground. But as you can see, there's a variety of different things that are being balanced by our project management team, and expanding and listening to the community to provide that extra play area here. But Tim has a question in the chat about the Robinia Forest wood pillars, which were purchased for the diagonal playground, but were never used and are now in storage. Could those be used in any way?
Yeah, I'll address that. Tim's got a little bit of background. Tim, thanks for the question. So some of you may recall that there was a feature in the diagonal playground that was called the Robinia Forest, and it was named that after the type of wood that I was describing when William asked his question. Those Robinia wood pillars, or those elements, are indeed, you're right, they are being stored and used. And we are thinking of ways that those might be integrated. And so I can't tell you that they will be. There is still some desire for those to be retrofitted into the original diagonal area. But I can tell you that the department is wanting to use those. We just haven't decided what the best use of those materials are yet. So Tim, I don't know if you want to discuss it anymore, but that's a great question. We are thinking about it. It's possible that when we get into the details of the final design, that we'll try to integrate those materials either here, or again, would be retrofitted into the diagonal area.
These are great questions and commentary. I think if there is no more additional questions on the queue, we'd like to launch the opinion poll and get some tallying of the community preferences on the two concept designs, and then you will be voting specifically on the difference on programmatic on this highlighted area here in red.
Okay, so there should be a poll on your screen. And it's pretty simple.
And if the box is blocking your screen, you can move it to the side if you want to review the different alternatives if needed. So the box is movable.
Okay, we'll give about another 5 seconds. So we will end the polling and share the results. It looks like the Landforms is, at least within those that are present here, the more popular of the two options. So thank you very much for taking the poll.
So up next, I wanted to provide some update on our project timeline. As you can tell, we are here in public meeting number 2. And the next steps will be to reassess of the feedback that we received today. And we will continue to receive feedback from the community until next Wednesday. With review of the commentary and feedback that we received, we'll make final changes to this concept design. And eventually we'll be moving on to prepare. So the final design will be available in June this year. And then we'll be able to advance with construction documents and advancing to project implementation in late 2021, 2022. This is a great opportunity for us to continue to receive feedback from the community. So please do so. I'm available to via phone or email. This presentation will be available in our DPR website. The link is on this slide over here. And for those that you know that could not make this meeting, please encourage them to view this meeting recording and submit me questions and any feedback. You can provide your preferences on the two concepts via email as well. I would like to ask for those that were able to attend this meeting and provide your feedback today. Your feedback is already counted, and we would like to extend your help just reaching out for those that couldn't make it here today. And I will thank you for your time and participation. We are looking forward to really making this park area even more meaningful for Wash Park park users, and this is a great addition for our regional park.